Steve Arsano, the founder of the Jet business, has been absolutely blowing up online recently, with over 100 million views in the past month across all of their different social media. They have produced over 103 pieces of content within the last 90 days, and you've already seen this content pop up in your feed over and over and over again, and now your only question should be, well, how could I do the same? My name is Gibson Ost. I'm the CEO of The Video Strategist, where we take entrepreneurs and business owners and we grow their social channels so they are the #1 contact point in their space. And in today's video, we're going to be analyzing the Jet business's social channels and figure out exactly what they did to become so successful and why and how we can replicate it for ourselves. One of the first things they did is that they were featured in an Iman Gadzhi video titled "I'm Buying a Jet." This was a massive boost for all their social platforms because fans of Iman are most likely going to watch this video and therefore be exposed to Steve and his business, the Jet business. But what exactly does the Jet business do? The Jet business is a one-of-a-kind business that sells private jets primarily to private either companies or single consumers. And in the video that Steve was featured in, Iman's over 2.5 million subscribers received an intro to his business where they showed off his showroom. This is a one-of-a-kind both meeting room and showroom that Steve designed himself, which he can use to show potential clients exactly everything they're going to want to know about buying a jet. And this showroom is literally too good to show off. As you can see right here, it looks absolutely insane. Keep that in mind for later. Steve and his team did not let this opportunity down as they started producing content en masse across all of the Jet business's pre-existing socials, including moving to YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, where now they have surpassed over 100 million views in the past 30 days. But wait a second, why would Steve even want any public attention at all? Why would any business owner want to disclose themselves publicly? Aren't we supposed to remain private? We don't want anybody knowing about our services. We want to have as much limited exposure as possible. Well, for that answer, I think Steve himself put it pretty well.
Have you got any clients from social media? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we've sold.
Oh, you've done.
We've done a deal off of Instagram.
If you didn't catch that, Steve landed a client, which, by the way, for jet contractors, this could mean a $25 million eval, through a TikTok video. And keep in mind, this podcast that I'm showing this clip off of was recorded almost 4 months ago, when he barely had 500,000 views across all of his socials. So that means that with barely 500,000 views, Steve was able to make up to $25 million. Now he has over 100 million views across all of his socials. Imagine if your business even had 100,000 new eyes on it. How many more clients would that get you? How many more opportunities would that lead you to? How much more networking? How much more validity in your space would that mean? Think about that for later. Your next question should be, well, how did he blow up online? For us, I think there was 3 kinds of content that Steve and his team primarily focused on that blew them up overnight and created the sensational social media stars we now know. First kind of content that Steve makes is what I would go ahead and call an interesting fact. This is the content that I've seen Steve being the most famous for. Basically, all this is that this is showing off what he does, a day in the life, what a client meeting would look like, how exactly he would go past the client's primary objections, which is like, hey, what things should I be focusing on when I'm trying to get a private jet? What are the costs of a private jet, etc., where he's just showing off his office and things like that. These videos blow up on social media because how could they not? It's insanely interesting. Now, if you're telling me that your job is something as cool as selling a private jet, how could you not blow up on socials with the right kind of content? Because it's so interesting. It's so cool seeing a guy like this go about his day-to-day life, what exactly he's doing, who he's talking to, what he's speaking to them about. And that's why he was able to blow up, because of the high amount of engagement that that's obviously going to provide. I mean, think about it. His average viewer thinks something like this. Wow, this random guy sells jets? That's really cool. Oh, wow, he got a ton of views. I should check out his page. I should click on his website. I should upgrade his search rankings. I should click on all of his other catalog of videos. I should follow him. I should watch all of his other videos, and on and on and on, and millions of people did this. And this is why he was able to get over 100 million views in barely 90 days. The second kind of content is stories. These are videos, usually clips from podcasts, where he'll talk about something interesting that's happened in his life, like how his first business deal went down, or like how he met Ronald Reagan. Wait a minute, he met Ronald Reagan? I gotta stop right now, and I gotta watch this video to the end. At The Video Strategist, we call that a flow break. Whenever people are watching socials, especially when they're scrolling on TikTok or on IG or on YouTube Shorts, they enter a flow state where they're just mindlessly scrolling through, just repeating the same tasks. And you've probably found yourself in a similar funnel. But think of those special kind of videos that literally break that flow state, and you're so engaged by what was just shown that you literally are just kind of like sitting there absent-minded, but then you go, what? That's what we call a flow break. The goal of creating content, specifically good content, should be getting people to stop scrolling and start paying attention to you. This is done just by simply being interesting. We had a client who runs a dog training business, and she asked me, what can I even make videos about? How can I even achieve this flow break? And I was like, this is the easiest thing in the world. You got cute dogs all around you. Everybody wants to see a dog. That's what we call a flow break. It's when you see something that's so interesting in under a second when you're scrolling on socials that it literally causes you to stop everything and pay attention. Using this one small change, she took her average views on each of her shorts from about 1 to 5,000 to over 300,000. And this has netted her huge benefits in the form of new clients and networking and much more. The last kind of content is just known as motivation. There are a good number of videos of him just sitting around talking about things that he believes in and different things about his business. For example, what he looks for when he hires people, what his motivations are, how he works so much, etc. This is good for clients looking for a little bit of a broader approach when it comes to gaining clients. They're just kind of just looking for like a bulk number of views so they can basically start hitting everyone's socials, because the nice thing about motivational content like this is that basically anybody can make it, and since the advice is pretty generic, it's pretty easy for anyone to get attached to it. So because of that, there's going to be a lot of engagement there regardless of who you are. What I will say is that notice how a lot of his videos have been coming from podcasts that he's been a part of. Podcasts are a great way for any entrepreneur to start making content because it barely requires an hour a week to go ahead and record a full podcast. And then you could just have your team, or you could have someone go ahead and edit 15 to 30 pieces of content from basically just 4 hours a month of a podcast, and it's super easy to go ahead and make content out of that can just fill in your socials. And I'm sure that your feed has been completely taken over by podcast clips because it's just easy to generate a ton of content from podcasting, because conversations are natural, things come up, and the podcast changes so much that any good shorts editor could just go in and just clip like 15 to 30 out of maybe even each podcast and just start grinding them out and just upload a ton of them. Now that we've figured out what kind of content Steve makes, let's go ahead and apply what we've learned for a different field. For example, my company, The Video Strategist, focuses on helping entrepreneurs create contact points in social media through creating consistent video content. We handle every aspect of content creation, including script writing, editing, uploading, even for long-form thumbnailing, including uploading all of the videos across all of your different social channels. So the only thing you'd have to do is maybe record up to 4 hours a month of content so we can go ahead and just generate a ton of different pieces of content for you. The benefits of doing this is immense. Creating contact points in a space will do nothing but benefit you in the form of new clients, networking, validity as an entrepreneur, because when people look up your name, they should be finding some kind of content of you to prove that you're actually legit. Now, let's take all that good stuff that I do for clients and let's apply it for each of our businesses and apply it to the model that the Jet business created. It's very simple to do this. First kind of video would just simply be an interesting fact. This would be just some small shorts showing entrepreneurs how to do certain things to improve their content creation workflow. For example, showing them certain settings on an iPhone that they can use to dramatically increase the quality of their videos. Flow breaks, like I mentioned prior. And there's a ton more just small tidbits that I can go ahead and give to entrepreneurs that can go ahead and help them create better content. And then if they feel inclined to go ahead and have someone like me just fully create everything from them, then they can book a call with me, which I'll say that at the end of the video. And then you could basically do the same for your own business. The second kind would essentially be stories. I could talk about how I got started in this field, my previous client success stories, how I've taken people from 1,000 views on average to 300,000 views on average, how I've created people in spaces. I could talk about all those different kind of things. I could either get on a podcast and talk about it that way. I could just flat out record a short. For me, I usually just end up recording the shorts with my phone. So I'll just record the shorts on my phone in the cinematic view and then just send them to my editors, and then I'll just edit them out and post them across all channels. The final kind would be just a motivational post. I could say something like, if you want it, you'd already have it. And this will most likely get attention just because it's a generic piece of advice, and people generally will like generic pieces of advice. And that is if I wanted to approach content creation to a more broad angle, which isn't always advisable for every person I work with, but in some cases it is. If you have any more specific questions, or if you're already a successful entrepreneur who's looking to get into creating video content and is looking for someone to basically fully automate the process for them so they can just focus on their business, make sure to book a free 30-minute call with my team in the description down below. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.